previous track configuration used between 1995 and 2006 as low-speed chicane was placed before the home straight. Michael Schumacher set the lap record on that configuration of the track in 2004. The German drove the legendary Ferrari F2004 around the circuit in 1:20.411. Back when the circuit was part of the San Marino GP from 1981 till 2006, Michael Schumacher dominated the track with 7 wins in total. More than that. Enzo Ferrari. The first testing will take place with
Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League Tier 1. This is the top of the Equal Performance Leagues in partnership with gridfind.com and Venturi Studios. And we're here for round number 5 at the what is going to be known, well, what's called as the Imola Grand Prix in sim terms, but obviously, in other words, called the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix here at the Autodromo International Enzo Edino Ferrari. Joining alongside me in the commentary box, JPH99, is, as always, Bruce Lee Harding. Good evening, Bruce.
Good evening, JPH. Well, cautions in Sector 1, I'm sure that's just people slowing down, but great to be at the circuit. Fantastic old school circuit, obviously a few changes over the years, but it's often can be a tricky one. Track limits often come into play around here, and easy to have issues with curbs. So it's a challenging track for all the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's also one of the very few tracks in the world that's anti-clockwise in nature. And I can see Jeremy Clarkson, who is back this week, which is good to see. He's about to go on to a lap, so let's go on board for the first flying lap here, round Imola. So down the main straight we go, which is not really a straight, but through turn 1, this little kink right. And you bring it back through the left as you head up towards the Tamburello chicane. With the brakes at just before the 50 there. 4th gear in, up to 5th in the middle of 2 and up to 6th into 3. So you head down to the infamous Villeneuve chicane. Very fast flick left down to 4th for the right hand part. As you now bring it back to the right hand side for Tosa. Down to 3rd. Keep it as tight as you can and get on the power as early as you can. You've got to be careful because of the camber. Up the hill through 8 as you want to keep it to the right hand side for Piratella. Very fast, 90-degree left-hand bend. Don't take too much curve, it'll drop you out wide. Through 10 inches flat, then Acca Minerale. 11, 12, 13. Drive it on the brakes into the 4th gear, 90 right-hander. Up over the hill, down towards Varianta Alta. Clobber as much as you can of the chicane curbs to minimise the track. But again, as Bruce pointed out, you've got to be careful of those curbs. They will spit your car around if you're not careful. Down the hill into Ravazzas. A little bit wide there from Jeremy on the first Ravazza. A bit better through the second one, clipping that apex nicely. He's going to come up to the line then at the end of the lap. It's a 1:14.349 to kick us off.
Yeah, Blaster just following in just behind, pretty much 1 second off the pace of Jeremy there. Not quite so committed over the curves at the chicane as you say. But interestingly as well, at the moment we've got Ashtube on a 1:17.5. I believe he's out on mediums at the moment, so just getting a few laps in on the harder compound tyre.
And there's Emir Jurakovic, 1:14.328. He takes provisional pole position for now. So remember, it is an 18-minute qualifying session. So lots of time as Merck goes quicker again with a 1:14.1. We are currently following Ferbey. In the Williams, he's just coming down towards the Ravazzas now. And Ferbey's been one of those ones who looks like he can mix it with those top 2 if he can have a clean run.
Yeah, definitely. I think the consistency really of Merckx and Emir has been very unmatched so far this season, and I think that is the ticket to getting the results. And as you say, Ferbey and many others, not just to single anyone out obviously, but I think people will be looking to sort of improve their consistency and try and get a bit further up the order. And as I say, Ferbey is one of those who is more than capable of challenging for podiums week in, week out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Delor's on a lap. We've already beaten the season 15 pole time. That was the last time we ran Emilia-Romagna. That was set by Max TA13 in the Ferrari with a 1:15.442, so we're already under that by 1.3 seconds, all bar the shouting, which is quite impressive. Delol just coming through the second Ravazza. What is he going to produce? It is a 1:15.243, so 7th place for now.
Yeah, Bjorn de Boer also currently on a lap, but again through the chicane at the top of the hill there, probably not taking as much curve as you can get away with. I think we have noticed in the past that it's one of those curves you obviously it can spit you out quite badly, but if you get it exactly right, you can easily gain a few tenths through it. I think Bjorn's got a little bit more time still to come there with a little bit more attacking through that chicane.
Yeah, I mean, Imola I tend to find is one of those circuits that you kind of take the chicane with caution on your first lap, make sure you've got a lap time, and then maybe start attacking it, because if you get it slightly wrong, it could spit you out or it could invalidate your lap. So, and it's not really the best place to invalidate your lap because you're not far from the end of the circuit, so it's quite hard to recharge your battery.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right there. I suppose people want to get that lap time in and have something on the board, but I think when you're at this level, every single sort of qualifying run counts really, and I think sort of safe runs possibly not quite as important in this tier, but also understandable at the same time, just to get something sort of semi-competitive on the board. Stenos is on a lap at the moment, I believe, as well.
He is in that Ferrari livery there. They ran at Monza, which is a nice livery. I'll give it that. It's a bit more colour than normal, and very very much like I think Carlos Sainz probably liked it. Just it's all very Spanishy colours with the yellow and the red. As they come down towards Ravazza, then there was a McLaren getting out of the way, which is good news for Stinos. I think that's Owen on his outlap. Coming up to the line then for Stinos. So 1:15.0, so 8th place for now. But Bruce, one of the things we haven't touched on yet, no Cameron Searle tonight.
No, he's had some excellent race runs recently, Cameron, and but yeah, unfortunately not here tonight to try and put that fight to the Astons. Good to see Jeremy Clarkson back in. Obviously, earlier after I believe 2 rounds, he was the championship leader, but obviously has dropped off a little bit now since missing the last 2 races, I believe. So, yeah, shame not to see Cameron here, but good to see some other guys. Also, I think a few guys that we haven't seen this year that are in as reserves.
Yeah, we've got Felix Le Pirate, Otis Beckmars as well. I'm just trying to remember if Otis is a reserve or not. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm board with Owen at the moment for his first flying lap. Owen's been he's had some great recovery drives this season. He just keeps getting caught up in a lot of stuff that's not really his fault, unfortunately for Owen. But hopefully he can get a nice decent run here at Imola. Across the line, 6th place for the McLaren. It's a good starting point there in qualifying.
Yeah, good run that for Owen. Currently on board with Jeremy Clarkson. He's missed the apex there quite badly, I think, there. And yeah, he dropped a couple of tenths there in that one sector, but he might get a nice toe off the Alpha, but the AlphaTauri pulls out the way straight away, so no such luck there. Just coming down the hill now, down to the Ravazzas. I think he's going to be struggling to improve on his time now, unless he can get a nice toe now off this car in front, but it's obviously a short blag up to the start-finish line anyway. Yeah, just under 3 tenths slower than his original run, so yeah, just that one missed apex is all it took there, just to mean he just couldn't quite improve.
Emir does go faster, but not fast enough to beat Merckx. Merckx was on a faster lap, but he's invalidated his lap time. And that looks like Jeremy Clarkson's had a little bit of a spin coming out of Tamburello there.
Yeah, he has. I didn't quite... I flicked through, and as I flicked through, I noticed the Ferrari very, very much sideways, and yeah, he's just lost it. I think he's on his in-lap anyway, so pretty irrelevant, I guess. But yeah, an unusual mistake for Jeremy. We haven't seen many of those when we have seen him racing this year, so maybe just a sign of how hard he's having to push, just generally, just to try and keep up.
Yeah, MDJ's first lap puts him 5th on the grid at 1:14.433. We're having a look at his teammate for Bay at the moment as he comes through the Varianta Alta and down towards the Ravazzas. Down into Ravazza 1, Ravazza 2, trying to use as much of the track as possible. And across the line he goes. It's our fastest lap for now, a 1:14.086. And looks like the Astons are definitely going for another run.
Yeah, I think as I've just seen Otis there driving through the gravel at Tamburello, but yeah, I think one thing I would say I've noticed so far in this is times are a lot closer to the Aston Martins than it has been up to this point this season. So hopefully that's a sign that, you know, with the track maybe being a bit shorter, it's a track that everyone, I think, well, I say everyone, I think most people enjoy driving this track. So hopefully it's a sign that tonight could be the night the Astons are put to the test properly.
Yeah, it'd be great to see, and we don't. Whilst it's good to see good teamwork, obviously teams can pull away in championship as Bjorn puts his car into 9th. We don't necessarily want people to be running away with championship, so hopefully this is like that turning point in the season. Always the log is a little bit wide for Tamburello. Yeah, hopefully this is that turning point where the teams kind of get that bit closer and really start challenging them. I mean, if the teams are challenging them and they still start to pull away, I mean, that's fair enough by the Astons, but it'd be good to see them almost put to the sword per se in terms of the way the championship goes.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no argument they deserve to be in a position they are. They've driven fantastically so far this season. I don't think anyone can deny that. But yeah, as you say, we always like to see some competition throughout the field, and the more we can get at the front fighting for positions, obviously, hopefully, the more entertaining it is for everyone involved. And I'm sure the Astons, as much as they're enjoying being 1-2 quite regularly, they'll not be too upset if they have to, you know, have a tough night on the track.
Absolutely, and Ashtube has put his car at 10th. Obviously, no ARL tonight by the looks of things, so he's the lone Red Bull for the night. Blester just trying to get back to the pits at the moment after his lap invalidation. Reshka is on a lap. Well, I say that he's not actually using any ERS, so I'm guessing he might be on.
Stinos currently 6/10 up at the second sector, so he's going to improve. Just I don't know how high up. He's 4th.
4th place, and look at the times at the moment. The top 12 covered by less than a second, as Otis Beckmars puts his Alfa Romeo into 10th place. I don't quite know who else is on a lap. I think Ghost is.
Everyone's on in laps or either out laps, in laps, or in the pits at the moment. So I don't think anyone's going around competitively. So it will be looking at this. I think Owen and Felix in both the McLarens next up, and yeah, as you say, Owen's going to be the first one to hit a flying lap.
So Owen on to his second flying lap. You have to feel if he completes this lap, he hasn't got a lot of time to actually get back in and have a third run. So you kind of have to feel that he's either going to complete this lap and that'll be it for qualifying, as he heads through Tamburello, or he will have a mistake this lap and he'll come straight in the pits to make sure he gets that final run. But we shall see as he goes through Villeneuve towards Tosa. Difficult hairpin Tosa, I mean, especially the exit.
Yeah, it's one of those corners, it always feels like there's multiple lines you can take into it. As you say, it's just one of those corners that seems to go on forever, and with it being such slow speed as well, you know, it can be tricky to get the power down as early as you'd like to. So yeah, definitely one to look out for during the race. I think we've seen a few mistakes there during the week so far in the other tiers.
Owen up by 0.16 at the moment. Means he's going to go. I don't think he's not on for an improved position at the moment. But these final two corners, you can still gain a little bit more time. Just about straddling the white line there on the limits. Up to the line for the McLaren. DRS Open is our 1:14.296, and 5th place is provisionally Owens for now. Meanwhile, his temporary teammate for the evening, Felix, I think he has made a mistake because he's backed right off.
Yeah, I didn't see. He actually abandoned it quite early in the lap, so I'm assuming maybe he's made a mistake at Tamburello, perhaps. Obviously, hasn't popped up an invalidation, but he obviously lost enough time to feel that it was worth maybe recharging, and maybe he'll have another go now. He won't have enough time to get back in and get some new boots on, so I think he's going to just be stuck with slightly older tyres for his final run.
Meanwhile, Conan in the Alpine, he's now on a lap. He's currently 6th at the moment. About 0.26 down on Ferbey. So up to Piratella comes the Alpine. Just about keeping it in bounds. And Acuminarale. This is going to be an interesting corner come the race because you can make mistakes, and if you dare to go side by side through there, it normally ends quite badly. Into Variante Alta, and there's an invalidation, too much curve taken. And this is the problem for Conan now, because he's got to try and recharge that battery for a second run, and that's going to be difficult with just the 2 Ravazzas left.
Yeah, definitely. As we said, that chicane, you can make up a lot of time there with the cut over the curb, but that was a hefty cut, hour and a half from Conan, so not ideal. Quite a lot of traffic on the outlaps here. Jeremy Clarkson there was in a bit of a traffic jam. So it'll be interesting to see people trying to get track position here now before they start their final laps. But I think, shame for Conan. He was on for an improvement now, and I think could easily have got up to potentially provisional 3rd.
Meanwhile, the person who's in provisional 3rd at the moment is Emir Jurakovic, and according to the game, he set a purple first sector, so this is good news for Emir as he comes through Piratella, down the hill. First part of Acuminarale, he's all about bravery and then stamping on the brakes for the second part. What's he going to come up to the line? He's 0.28 up at the moment. He is currently on for provisional pole position. Out of the Variante Alta, down the hill we go once again. Schizo has retired in the pit lane. Into the Ravazza for Emir. I would say he's probably not quite hit the apex as he'd like to in the first part. Open up the second 90 left though. Up to the line. Are we going to get into the 113s? Yes, we are. 113.864. Who's going to be next to the top guys to arrive? I think it'll be Ferbey, but Lee, who are you looking at the moment?
I'm actually on board with Ferbey. He's just ever so slightly up on his previous time at the first sector. Let's just see what he does now as he comes up. He's 600ths up, so he is
invalidated
and
there.
he's just invalidated. So yeah, too much curve again. So Merck's your next person. He's half a second down now, I think it's telling me at the moment. So 3/10 down at the second sector. So he's not going to improve, I don't think. Stinos now 700ths up, coming up to the chicane.
That's an invalidation through the chicane.
Jeremy Clarkson 2/10 up, so he is just going down to the Ravazza. So looking like he may improve a little bit and get himself potentially up to 3rd.
Second it is for Jeremy Clarkson, 114.012. Where's Ghost? Ghost just coming through the Ravazzas. Getting a slight toe off the Mercedes ahead of him, I think. He stays in 8th place. MDJ. He goes 3rd with a 114.066. And Emmy, I think, went for a bit of a parade lap for his celebration there. That's pretty close qualifying for round Imola, especially with a place where you can make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, definitely, and interesting to see the two Astons split by quite a few cars actually. I mean, obviously Merck down in 5th, so slightly uncharted territory for him.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see how he comes through those top guys. But Bruce, would you like to take us through the grid order for the Imola Grand Prix?
Absolutely. So, continuing his fine run of form so far this season, Emir Jurakovic puts it on pole with Jeremy Clarkson 2nd in the Ferrari. MDJ a fantastic 3rd on the grid alongside teammate Ferbey in the Williams. Merck 5th, as Stinos in 6th, Owen 7th and Otis 8th. Conan 9th with Ghost 10th, Beyondable 11th, Blaster 12th, Martin 13th, Ashtube 14th, Reska 15th, Delol 16th, Schizo 3 17th, and Felix Le Pirate rounds out the grid in 18th.
So we have 32 laps ahead of us. Both me and Bruce, we don't know what the weather is doing. It looks like it's going to be a dry race, but you never quite know with this game, especially, I mean, in reality, even the drivers don't really know what's coming because there might be some rain on the way because they do only get approximate forecast. They don't get perfect forecast, which I think makes the racing that little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can normally get a good indication as to what it's going to do, but yeah, it's always good to have a bit of variation in the races and that slight bit of uncertainty. But as you say, it's looking pretty clear at the moment on the in the skies.
And what sort of tyres are you probably looking to go on? Because obviously the hards around Imola are really not favourable in terms of pace.
No, I think looking at, I've seen briefly some of the other tiers. Most people have actually, quite a lot of people have gone medium and hards, which, excuse me, is not what I personally would go for. But then my tactics normally aren't the best. So yeah, I think you could see quite a mixture of strategies here. There might be people on softs trying to get away, but here we go.
Here we go. They have the 5 red lights, and we are green at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And who's got the best getaway? It's definitely Emir Jurakovic. He gets a great start as everyone else now squabbles behind for position. We'll have a look in tyres in a moment once we get through Tamburello for the first time. This is a pinch point as we head through the first couple of corners now. It looks like we're going to get away clean. It's a great start by Toro. A bit of a slide from Otis coming out of Tamburello. He's going to get swamped by a couple of cars as we head into Villeneuve. Oh, and now he's gone round good and proper, and that is in the wall. That's a front wing gone, and already probably an early pit stop as Reska side by side with Ashtube. Ashtube's gone backwards in a hurry. He's fighting there for 14th place up the hill towards Piratella. Still side by side. Great racing from these two. Sister teams. Not really in real life though. And Ashtube, oh, he's going to keep it down the inside for Aki Minerale. That's fantastic driving. Conan has had a bit of an issue coming out of Aki Minerale. He's dropping down the field. He's now down to 14th place. Reska looking down the inside. Contact into Varianta Alta. But they just about get away with it. And we can... Schizo has unfortunately disconnected, I think. Ashtube gets Delol, and we can have a little bit of a breather. I say that as Delol keeps around the outside of Ravatsa and keeps the place. But Bruce, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think you nailed that pretty well then, to be honest. Yeah, obviously some great racing here, which is continuing now. Between the guys in the mid-pack, but yeah, obviously a shame there for Otis, just spearing off to the left there at the start. There was one moment, there was a few cars, we nearly went sort of 4 wide down the pit straight, but a couple of guys backed out sensibly, otherwise I think we could have been looking at quite a sizable incident. But yeah, really, obviously a shame for Otis there at the start, now having to pit for that new front wing, but an excellent clean run there at the start for most people.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at the tyre strategies, and we have most people on mediums. The only people that started on the hards are Jeremy Clarkson, Ghost, Reshka and Felix. They have all started on the hards. Otis is on the hards, but he's already come in for an early pit stop for a new front wing. So it's also a hideously long pit lane here. It's at Imola. So it's not one you really want to have to make more stops than necessary.
No, exactly.
Oh, that's a
spinning off. Didn't quite see what happened there. I just saw him slightly on the grass as he went to turn in, and the back just decided obviously it wasn't going to follow where he wanted it to go. So yeah, that's a disaster there for Stinos.
I wonder if he maybe clipped the grass on the entry, because it was that type of spin, wasn't it? He's also he just clipped the grass on entry as he's tried to turn in, and the back end, so with no real grip going round.
Yeah, definitely. It's that sort of lazy sort of look to it, didn't it? Unfortunately, so yeah, a bit of a disaster and a lot of work now for Stinos. But MDJ looking quite racy here up behind Jeremy Clarkson. Obviously, he's on a slightly softer compound of tyre compared to Jeremy. And I suspect with that tyre advantage, he'll be looking to maybe get past him on DRS on the start of the next lap.
Yeah, I mean, Emir's now got 1.8 seconds to the good here. Merckx has managed to gain a place on for Bay, but it looks like he's not really going through the field like we would normally expect him to, in comparison to previous races. But yeah, MDJ definitely going to be sizing up a move here on the Ferrari. Earlier rather than later. Ghost already with a 3-second time penalty, and that's very early.
Yeah, that, as you say, incredibly. If MDJ goes for that move down the pit straight, it was definitely going to happen. I don't think there's a lot that Jeremy could do about that. And you might see now, obviously, with just the one DRS zone down the pit straight, there's every chance now that MDJ could drop Jeremy Clarkson now for the rest of the lap with that slightly better grip. And a slight mistake there from MDJ gives Jeremy a chance to sneak back up behind him, but yeah, obviously MDJ will be looking to break that toe for the DRS for the next lap, and then obviously Jeremy will be then susceptible to attacks from Merckx and Fabay shortly after. But at the moment, Jeremy's doing a good job of holding on.
It's interesting because MDJ's closed the gap to Emir to 1.4, 1.5, so he's taken 3/10 since overtaking Jeremy. Obviously, is helpful with that DRS because obviously Emir doesn't get that assistance, and that straight is a massive DRS benefit. As Bjorn de Boer all over the back of the AlphaTauri of Ghost, who seems to be just struggling ever so slightly at the moment, but he is on the hard tyres. But already with a 3-second time penalty, it's going to be a bit of a long race for him. He's going to have to kind of get in that groove and come the end of this race, burn whatever he's got to get away from people. But MDJ, fastest lap of the race so far.
Yeah, just watching him through the chicane there at the top of the hill, he was so much more committed through there than Emir and Jeremy. And Stenos gets a 3-second time penalty now and a yellow in sector 1.
DeLol's in the wall, I think.
And a virtual safety car. Just following Stenos. Yeah, DeLol is just on pit exit almost there.
That's not really a good place to be having a crash because it's almost practically a straight, so not quite sure what happened there with DeLol. But,
yeah, as you say, an unusual one. You'd have to assume maybe some contact there with someone. Obviously, I didn't see who he was racing with at that particular moment in time, but yeah, a disaster there, unfortunately, for him.
And just before the virtual safety car came out, obviously Bjorn got past Ghost. As we are under that the first virtual safety car of the evening, lap number 5. We are back to green conditions. And Owen has a very racy Blaster behind him as well.
That's a good restart from MDJ there. He was very, very quick to get going there and took a few tenths there out of Emir straight away, but not quite within that 1 second. And Jeremy's quite close behind MDJ as well, so I think MDJ will want to do everything he can possibly do to stay in front here, and I think he's going to be okay. But Merckx now looking at Jeremy Clarkson.
Side by side into Tamarello and done before the break zone. Meanwhile, Owen's under attack from Blester and Bjorn de Boer. Bjorn looks to follow Blester through. Blester goes wide, cuts the corner. He's going to have to give that position back. You have to feel you can't keep that one. I say that as he is keeping that one through Villeneuve. This is going to get dicey. 4 people, a bit of contact. Bjorn goes wide, courtesy of that contact out of Villeneuve. But we're all back to racing, and yeah, I'm surprised Blester isn't going to give that place back, because he did kind of complete that move off circuit. Oh, as Owen almost loses it.
Slide. And that's going to give Ghost the sniff down the inside, but that's very cramped for space there, but they both did great and Felix is out.
That's true, and we have a safety car. Yeah, what is going on? Where is he? He's at Piratella, which is not an uncommon place. His car's already disappeared, so I can't even see and try and piece together what went wrong. But I would suggest either a touch of contact or the curb has spat him off back to the inside and it's into the wall, because that is a pretty common thing to have, as we already have people in the pits, Emir, MDJ and Merckx, and this isn't ideal for Merckx because he's now going to get held up.
Yeah, he's getting obviously double stacked now. As I'm just watching it now, he's sat there very patiently, cup of tea and that lot. But yeah, he's going to lose potentially a couple of places. Although there was a big gap back, wasn't there, to the chasing pack? So he's not going to lose out too badly here. I think, in fact, actually, of the people that's pitted, he actually hasn't lost out at all. So yeah, he's done quite well there, to be honest. Obviously, the medium guys who are on mediums now going to hards, but you'd have to feel that's a long time to go on hard tyres. Surely 23 laps.
It's interesting you should say that, because Owen has gone to mediums, Conan has gone to softs, Reshka and Ghost started on hards, they've now gone to mediums. I think Owen might have started on hards as well, actually. So those guys, I think they're now turning it into a two-stop with their mediums. They're going to go medium here and hope they can use the pace of the tyre to kind of catch people, overtake them, and then get that gap so they can catch them and overtake them again later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you can see, for Bay at the front there, feels it's well too early to be making that stop for the hard tyres, and he stayed out on his 6-lap-old medium. So, yeah, it would be interesting to see. Obviously, unfortunately, we've got the ghosted car of Schizo 3 in 7th at the moment. He's obviously on 6-lap tyres, but that's just because his AI has decided that that's the right thing to do as well. So, but yeah, it would be interesting to know Ghost, whether he can start making his way through the hard tyre runners as well as Owen as well, because they're going to have a fair pace advantage once we get going again.
Yeah, what's going to be even more interesting is how for Bay goes with the likes of Emir and MDJ behind on the fresh hard compound. It's going to be interesting to see how Jeremy and Fabay kind of handle that sort of pressure, because whilst they might not be necessarily quicker initially, they will be quicker as Conan comes back in the pit. I'm guessing the soft tyre was a mistake, and yes, he's coming back in, putting on mediums, which I'm a little bit confused about, because he's actually changed the front wing.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
Wonder if the wing wasn't damaged enough for the computer to change it, so he's had to come in and manually put it to change my front wing.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. Just does give a second chance to Otis, who's obviously had that spin on lap 1. It gives him a chance now to catch back up with the pack. Obviously, he did quite well in qualifying, so he's got a lot more pace than obviously where he's on the track, so I'd expect to see him start making moves as well. But yeah, you'd have to say at the moment 7-lap-old mediums, 1-lap-old hards. The mediums probably still going to have that slight pace advantage, I think, but possibly not for too much longer.
Schizo, just asking if we can invite him, because unfortunately I don't think you're EA friends with any of us, so we can't invite you. Hopefully Emir might be able to. I mean, unless you send an EA friend request, I might be able to get that and potentially invite you there, Schizo. So JPH_99. You can try and get you back in, especially whilst we're under safety car at the moment. I say that as the safety car is going to be coming in. Very short safety car period there, which is unusual for this game.
Yeah, I was expecting it to go another lap, but Otis has just caught up to the back of the pack. So yeah, one will Jeremy go on as it's a long lag down to turn 1. He doesn't want to go too early, but there he goes.
There we go. We're back to green flag racing here at Imola. After a late call-in for the safety car. There's a good restart there from Jeremy. He's not going to be under threat at all by MDJ. MDJ just about not having to go defensive against Emir as we head into turn number 1. Owen and Ghost. Owen gets through. Ghost re-overtakes, but he's got a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. And I'm not quite sure what that's about, but I'm sure we'll find out later on in this race. MDJ, a 3-second time penalty already. Time penalties are starting to rack up. Beyond a Boa, going past Schizo 3.
Yeah, unsure what happened there, because Reshka had spun at turn 1 at Tamburello, but I don't know whether or not the 5-second penalty is more in relation to the safety car restart, perhaps. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what comes of that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The problem is that if he comes back in for another pit stop, which we are assuming he'll have to, then he's going to end up serving that 5 seconds, and it's not normally you don't get that back if you serve it. So be interesting to see what happens. But in the meantime, MDJ has lost out to Emir. Emir all over the back of Jeremy, and it's starting to look like coming in for brand new tyres was the way forward. As Emir goes through on Jeremy, and he's back into the lead of this race.
Yeah, it's pretty quick to get back to the front there for Emir, so be delighted to have made short work of that.
Stinos in the pits.
Okay, and new front wing for Stinos. So I don't know if he was close to Reska maybe at the start.
MDJ's made MDJ's made another mistake, this time through Villeneuve. I think it was MDJ. Was it for Bay? No, sorry, it's for Bay. That's made a mistake through Villeneuve. And Merckx has now gone through, and for Bay under attack from 2 cars, 3 wide into Piratella. That almost never works out. Luckily it has on this occasion. Ghost into 6th place. He goes round the outside of Leicester into Aki Minerale. And it does eventually sort itself out.
Yeah, still a little bit of fighting just behind those guys. Well, there's a small bit of contact as well there between a couple of the cars. In places you don't really want to have the contact because there's not a lot of room around this circuit for mistakes and tapping other cars. You do tend to end up finding walls pretty easily, but yeah, Leicester and Ghost still having to go at each other here as well, so yes, excellent fighting.
DRS enabled, so they won't have it this lap, they'll have it next lap, but MDJ doesn't need it this lap as he goes past Jeremy Clarkson into 2nd place. And Blesser is almost 3 wide again as Blesser looking to get past for Bay. For Bay, he's just doesn't seem to be the pace in that car anymore on those older mediums.
Yeah, I think as you say, contact behind this is it's like watching touring cars, but with wings. Yes, it's absolutely bonkers stuff. I've no idea how they're all still pointing in the right direction, but they're managing to do it.
We got 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. Oh, dash tube in the wall. Piratella, I think there was some contact in the middle of Piratella. Safety car is out, and the front left wheel of the Red Bull has vacated.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage there, and it could be another chance for Skeeto Free to get back in the race, but massive disappointment there for Ashtube. Big shame. This is what Ghost needed really to get rid of that 5-second penalty. And now it will be interesting to see what everyone does, because will the medium runners now think, yeah, okay, I can do hards now all the way to the end? And what will the guys that have just pitted for hards, they're kind of going to have to just stick it out on those hards.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, the contact with Ashtube, I mean, that's something that was always going to happen when you've got 9 cars in a gaggle together, fighting for positions as Reshka picks up 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. Yeah, when you've got a 9 car group battling around, something was going to give, and unfortunately it was the Red Bull of Ashtube with a bit of contact. I don't quite know who he was alongside at the time, but a tiny bit of contact, and that was the kind of the link that broke in the end. Yeah,
I mean, they were doing well. I think I may have jinxed it by saying they were all doing great to not actually have made severe contact yet, and then briefly after they did. But I mean, the racing was fantastic, but yeah, it was one of those inevitability sort of things. Especially as you say, around this circuit, it's quite narrow, and around a wider circuit, you can get away with it. Around here, it just takes one mistake, one car to slightly check up, one car to have a slight slide or something, and that's it. It's game over for someone. So yeah, massive disappointment that it's ended in a retirement and a safety car for Ashtube.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I'm expecting this to be a slightly longer safety car because the field is a little bit more spread out.
Yeah, Reska's still got his 5-second penalty. Ghost has now got rid of the 5 seconds. Yeah, but obviously he still has 3 seconds. So at the moment of all the penalties on the board, everyone's 3 seconds except for Reska, which is a 5-second penalty, which I would fully expect him to come in and serve now, even though he's just pitted just to get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends what tyre he wants to be on, though. That's the problem, because if he comes in and gets on a tyre that he doesn't want to be on, he'll have to come potentially back in again to to get back on that tyre, so it'll be interesting to see what he does. He does stay out.
Stays out.
Says to me he doesn't have another set of mediums available to him. Not fresh, because I'm pretty certain he came in under the first safety car as well, along with Ghost.
I mean, as for Reska now, I mean, what are his options really? Wait until later and hope for another safety car, come in bottom some softs, or where would you think he could possibly go from here?
It's a tough one, really, because obviously, I think you're kind of looking at going back onto your other set of mediums at this rate. Although it depends how long you can think you can make maybe even the softs last near the end, where you come in for a set of softs and try and use the grip a little bit to kind of balance that out. But it's always going to be a tough one when you're in this situation. You've had two safety cars, and strategies now are completely up in the air. Yeah,
definitely. It's I'd say it's all very mixed up now. We've got Jeremy Clarkson down in 9th now on those fresh mediums. And not too long ago he was running in the top 3. So Blester now up to 4th as well. So it's very mixed up, this grid right now. And say very mixed up, other than the Aston Martins in the top 3.
Yeah, with MDJ, who has shown some great pace this season again. A little bit like Owen's been very unfortunate with a few incidents that he's been involved in. But he has shown some great pace this season.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, a 3-second penalty he's currently carrying is not going to be very helpful, but he'll hope come the end of the race that it's pretty much unimportant, that you can gap the guys behind enough for it to not be an issue. But MDJ, as you say, you're having an excellent race tonight. As are a few of the guys, Martin up in 5th. That's a great effort. I know he was concerned pre-race about some of the pace of the top boys, but he's doing right in the race.
And this, obviously, bar the DRS zone, this circuit is probably one of the easier ones to defend position on, if you can survive the DRS zone.
Yeah, it's correct car placement makes it very difficult to overtake, as you say. So, which is possibly one of the reasons we've had these, the latest safety car, is because people want to make that move. People maybe not necessarily get impatient, but maybe try things they wouldn't otherwise try on sort of wider circuits or circuits where there's more genuine overtaking places. So you've got to be patient around this circuit. I think it is probably quite key. So we're interested to see now everyone's settled in a little bit, hopefully, but see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of those circuits you want to try and pressure your opponent into a mistake and kind of take the easy overtake out of a corner. As a bit of an earlier call-in for the safety car this time around, which is good to see. It means Emir is going to get a little bit more time than Jeremy did to figure out his restart plans as we head down towards Ravazza. I mean, I could see Emir potentially, if the safety car gets a move on, potentially in between Ravazza's, but that safety car isn't really getting on with it enough, I don't think, for that to be a plausibility.
No, it'd be interesting to see now as well with Merck sat in 3rd. Obviously, teammates Emir and Merck, whether or not they're in communication now, and Emir will tell Merck potentially when he's going to go, which might.
I don't think he told anyone.
No, it doesn't look like it, does it? So, Leicester actually not too far behind Merck here at the moment.
So we go back to green flag racing. Emir gets a great restart then. He's 4/10 of the good. Conan and Bjorn side by side through Tamburello. Almost a bit of contact between the Ferrari and Ferbey. That's Jeremy. But we all get away fairly cleanly. Owen past Jeremy Clarkson now as he head through Villeneuve. Although Jeremy just about keeps it on the flat left part of the corner. Ghost gets a bit opportunistic here as Ferbey and Bjorn going side by side as well. Ghost gets opportunistic, get past Owen. Bjorn side by side with Ferbey up the hill towards Piratella. And Owen has disconnected. which is not ideal as we head through Minerale. And up the hill towards Variant Outer. People still looking for position. Oh, that looks like an interesting move.
A little bit of lag going on there. I think Conan's car lagged a little bit, and then ghosted slightly as Fabane was up behind him. So not quite sure how that looked for those guys, but definitely looked like a little bit of lag from my position.
Stinos getting past Reshka through Ravazza. He's looking to improve.
MDJ. MDJ's going for it.
Down the main straight, the Williams into the lead. And into Tamburello first. The question is, can he now start to pull away? We know he is quick because he still has the fastest lap. And that fastest lap is by a good 4-5 tenths there of a second.
Things starting to pile up a little bit now behind Blaster. He's got Martin all over the back of him. He's not able to make a move here, but there's 3 or 4 cars again now behind those two that are all going to be fighting for that top 4 place at the moment. I think it's not going to be long.
Oh, side by side for Bay and Jeremy attacking Minerale side by side. For Bay prevails for now, but that is some brave racing from those two. As for Bay down the inside of Conan, a little bit of contact, but he'll get the move done. Albeit a little bit wide out of the chicane. And
yeah, some fair element of surprise there, I think, from Fabay on them. I think a contact between Jeremy and Fabay as well now. So it's all getting a little bit tasty out there. People maybe, as I said, getting a little bit impatient.
Meanwhile,
Fabay's going to try and get past.
Emir goes back past MDJ on the straight. Ghost has got Conan and Bjorn. They're side by side, Conan and Bjorn with Stinos behind. Bit of contact. Stinos almost loses the car. Bjorn's shortcutted the car.
Bjorn's gone.
Camera angle wasn't good to see exactly what happened to Bjorn there, but he obviously spun through Tamburello. Oh, as Conan's a big slide through Villeneuve. He just about saves it. It's going to allow Stinos around the outside of Tosa, though. And big on the outside, should get the power down earlier and get good drive, which he does up into 10th place. And as per standard around him, a little bit of touring car action in the first couple of laps.
Yeah, it looked like Stinos, I think, maybe just tapped the back of Conan, and I think maybe Bjorn was a little bit too quick into the corner himself. Ran wide across the gravel and was just a little bit impatient getting back on the power, and just spun it all on his own, I think, as he rejoined the circuit. So, yeah, big shame. The dirt on the tyres obviously not great for Bjorn there, and obviously gone out from that fight now to being nigh on 10 seconds behind, and I can see watching on board he's lost his rhythm a little bit here, but he'll obviously still a long way to go in this race, but that's very disappointing.
Yep, and MDJ will retake the lead courtesy of a bit of DRS, and here comes Merck down the inside. So Merck goes with MDJ, and the top 3 change. MDJ, Merck to Emir. They're 1.5 to the good over Blester, and Jeremy Clarkson looking for a move on Martin coming down towards Villeneuve. He's got the overlap, and Martin probably very cleverly decides better of that, trying to defend it as he goes a little bit wide. Here comes Otis to the outside of Tosa. Is he quite going to get that move? No, he's not, but Fabay he's going to get down the inside of him as we go up the hill.
A massive moment from Blester out of Villeneuve there while I was on board with Jeremy. Oh, a bit of a wobble from Otis.
And Jeremy is past Blester off screen. Otis now behind Ghost. And here comes Ghost. He's got a good run coming out of Minerale. He's down the inside of Fabay. And jobs a good one into the Variante Outer chicane.
Yeah, I think this is a combination of the various different tyre strategies that are currently now on because of the safety car. You've got a lot of people mixed in with others that, there's just a tyre difference is massive. Conan with a 3 second, Stinos with a 3 second, and Merck back into lead, and Emir follows suit. Yeah,
that DRS very helpful, and Emir looking to maybe take the lead, but decides better of it. So the top 3 have all had chances at leading this race. In fact, the top 4 have all led this race at one point during it. And it must be said, Jeremy is slowly closing in on this group with those fresh medium tyres.
Yeah, I mean, while the top three are actually swapping positions, they're doing it in such a way they're not really losing much time to the guys behind because they're not as such fighting, but they're losing enough that, as you say, Jeremy's creeping up and he's now joined. He's now a quartet at the front for the lead, and if it remains like this towards the end of the race, it could well be like a bit of a lottery for the last couple of laps as to who gets in front. And I know for sure that if you're starting that last lap in the lead, you're going to be under a lot of pressure.
Someone else who's under a lot of pressure is Martin into the Variante Alta. He's got Ghost right behind him, and he's trying to keep up with Blester, who's already running low on ERS, courtesy of that red flashing light on the back of his car. Forbade looking to the outside of Ghost. Gets a little bit of a squeeze, but it's still a cars with just. Can he get the run out of Ravazza? Oh, we got a pitter of Blester.
Emir for the lead.
I think that was already scripted. MDJ is not going to get a chance, though, to have another go. But meanwhile, Ghost is alongside Martin into Tamburello. Oh, contact, and round they go into the wall. That's going to be a broken front wing, guaranteed for Ghost. I'm not quite sure about Martin, whether he's going to have any sort of damage on his car. But, yeah, that was close, and it ended up in contact in the end. Conan round the outside of Reshka. Tosa. Reshka, very giving in terms of the space he gave Conan there on the exit of Tosa. Which is interesting. Meanwhile, Otis and Stinos looking to go side by side at Accu Minerale. And Otis just about prevailing, although I think he didn't quite get the run out of it he wanted.
Yeah, I think maybe Reska's looking at this, seeing all the chaos that's kicking off around him and thinking, okay, maybe if I just keep my nose clean and keep out of trouble, give people space, this could come back to him towards the end of the race. But yeah, still close at the front, but a slight gap between Mertz and MDJ. So I think MDJ could be under threat here from Jeremy Clarkson potentially.
Yeah, MDJ still does have the DRS available to him as Merckx gets back into the lead. Otis picking up 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane through Tamburello. Just the one change then in the top four through that DRS zone.
Yeah, small mistake from Emir there through Tamburello, and MDJ gets down the inside into Villeneuve to get back into second. It could be short-lived though, but he just holds on to it for now.
It's good stuff from these guys. It's nice and clean racing, but it has meant that Merckx now has a 7.5 gap here, which if you've got 7.5 tenths coming onto the main straight, then pretty good chance you will not be overtaken. Yeah,
that's edging closer to a second now. MDJ's going to have to commit through this chicane.
Stinos having to release. Oh, having to release. Stinos actually doesn't have a left end plate on his front wing, so that's where he's now struggling.
Right, over a second now at the front, so yeah, MDJ is going to be massively under threat from Emir now. I think he's lost that DRS off of the back of Merckx.
Depends. Yeah, he has actually lost it, because obviously the detection point is just after the flat left, that coming down the hill towards Ravazza. So yeah, MDJ unfortunately losing that, but still impressive how he's managed to keep hold of the place for now. I mean, that Williams looks like it might be a little bit on the trimmed outside as Stinos back in the pits. I don't even want to guess what pit stop number that is, but we'll find out anyway. Stops. That is stop number 4 for Stinos in this race.
Yeah, go for the alternate 4-stop strategy. It doesn't often work, but you never know. Another safety car might bring him back into it. But yeah, as you say, MDJ, I don't know. Obviously, I don't tend to look at the ERS usage in case anyone's listening to the stream. But whether or not that was ERS usage there from MDJ, or as you say, the car is just very low downforce, and maybe that's why he's struggling to hang on to the back of MDJ. But he is within a second. Oh, sorry, back of Merckx, but he is within a second now again, so I'd expect to see him crawl up to the back of that Aston Martin at the end of the pit straight.
Yeah, having that DRS is a pretty vital part of this Imola circuit as we come down that main straight. Emir getting closer and closer, and the flashing light on the back of MDJ means he's running out of ERS. and he has a small mistake through Tamarello over the curbs, and that's 2 places lost. It was good driving from Emir and Jeremy to make sure they stayed outside of him and didn't make contact. That could have gone into the wall. What is happening with that Williams?
I think he's got away with one there big time. I think he could easily have lost the wheel there. But yeah, disaster for MDJ. He's just gone, from looking good in the top 3 there, and just that one mistake. I don't think there was a lot he could do about the way that the car rejoined the circuit going across those curbs. He was sort of very much a passenger himself, I think. So, but yeah, as you say, great driving from Jeremy and Emir to avoid any collisions with him. But yeah, shame for him. And now, Emir is teetering on the edge of DRS with Merckx.
Yeah, Blester on the back of Bjorn de Boer. As we head down towards Aki Minerali, he has a slight look on the entry. Not a corner I would really particularly look to overtake on unless you're side by side out of Paratella. He's going to look towards the chicane though. If he's late enough on the brakes. No, he's not. He's going to slot in behind. Emir gets close to Merckx. We're not quite going to watch them at the moment. Martin gets past the disconnected McLaren of Owen. Unfortunately, I don't think I've got Owen on my friends list, and unfortunately, because we're live racing, it's not really a chance for us to get him back in.
Leicester's now going to have a run on Bjorn up to turn 1. I think this is going to be pretty academic, this one here, with the DRS, and yeah, just straight past, no issues there whatsoever for Blester. But yeah, I mean, a massive shame, because you think not long ago we had Bjorn, Blester, Ghost, Reschke, Verbey, all fighting in that group in the middle, Owen as well, and just a couple of incidents, and suddenly it's all spread out, and yeah, obviously all the racing's now at the front of the field.
Absolutely, is Merckx is now going to come under increasing pressure, and the problem with the Astons here is they have to do this very clever, in a way that they don't let Jeremy through, because you get the sense that if Jeremy can get through, get past, he may well pull that 1 second gap as Ghost picks up another set of 3 second time penalties there. But yeah, these Astons, this is very sensible from them, and they're managing to do it in a way that it doesn't allow Jeremy a sniff into turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, it's very, very smart driving. I think MDJ is starting to struggle with his tyres. He's dropped a little bit further up. Obviously, it doesn't help. He doesn't have the DRS now. But Verbey is slowly catching up with MDJ. Just keep a check on the penalties there. All of them there, MDJ and Verbey, both with 3 seconds. So will be a legitimate race for position on the circuit. But yeah, as you say, this is a chance really for Jeremy to try and maybe save some ERS towards the end of a mistake there from Merckx, and Jeremy's through.
Didn't quite see that. We were looking at Emma going through Minerale, but good stuff from Jeremy as Reschke picks up another 3 seconds. To go on top of his 5 seconds and potentially another 3 seconds that he had earlier. But yeah, Jeremy now has got a very good opportunity. I mean, possibly not this lap being 7 tenths behind. But he's got a very good opportunity here. If he can get past Merckx, he could start to gap these Aston Martins.
Yeah, he's closing in. He is closing. I think he's got half a chance here if he throws it. But no, he backs out of it last minute. Thought he was just going to go for it, but I think he maybe thought that was a bit risky. There's still 7 laps to go of this race.
Yeah, and neither of these tyres now, at this point of the race, are really going to be that nice to be driving on, because I'm pretty certain if you're going medium to hard, the generalised strategy is about 18-14 area, I think. Hard coming after 18 laps on the hards, I think. Is the generalised strategy anyway.
Yeah, I think roughly you're looking at maybe 3 to 3.5% tyre wear a lap on the hards potentially. So you could be looking here at the guys on the hards going to be up around that 72, 75% tyre wear by the end of this race, and yeah, that's going to be very tricky to drive on. The mediums themselves as well, I believe, are somewhere around 4 to 4.5, so maybe more of a 4 area. So yeah, again, they're going to be similar. percentage of wear. So I'm not sure if punctures might come into this towards the end, but they're going to be very close to pushing these tyres to their limits.
On to lap 27 we go, and here comes Jeremy Clarkson down the inside with DRS. Move done, but he has to shake off Emir here. He has to get him more than a second behind. You feel that if Emir's within that second, within maybe 0.5 of a second, he will get Jeremy back.
It'd be interesting to see now whether, with Jeremy up front, whether he can try and maybe he'll try and back Emir into Merc. So I'm not sure that is going to happen, but yeah, he'll want the sort of the attention taken off of him a little bit here. I think he'll want Emir to not just be thinking about overtaking him, but also defending it against his teammate. So yeah, it's awkward. And Merc is in DRS, but obviously still quite a way back with 9 tenths. Well, he is closing in slowly now, and a yellow flag in sector 2. I can't see what for. It's gone.
It looks like possibly Otis, because he's now back behind Bjorn de Boer. So maybe a mistake through Tosa. You have to feel here that the Williams are going to be switching around as well for Bay within DRS of MDJ.
And here comes up alongside Jeremy.
Alongside and through he goes. But can Jeremy... He's got a good run coming out of Tamburello. Fantastic driving. Good switchback. And back into the lead goes the Ferrari.
Yeah, and Emma then letting Merc straight through, realising he had such a bad run out of the first set of the Tamburello chicane. So, yeah, still tactical here between the Astons. Still, you know, it's very much 2-on-1 at the moment in this race with Jeremy fighting both of them. But still doing a sterling job of staying out front and really smart driving there to let Emir go for the move and pull that switch back.
Well, Bjorn and Otis were side by side through Tamburello, but Bjorn surviving that latest attack from the Alfa Romeo. Owen saying PlusNet is down, so he's unfortunately his internet's become deadnet rather than PlusNet, which is a bit of a shame for Owen because he was looking like he had some good pace in this race early on. But Jeremy Clarkson, this is going to be a done deal already. Merck's definitely going to get past him here, unless he's managed to pick up DRS from Owen or... Would you have him now? Here comes the Astons, 2-on-1 attack, as you say, Bruce. But Merck is the only one who will get through for now.
Yeah, a good run though again through Tamburello for Jeremy. Even though he's offline due to trying to defend, he's still right back on him, and yeah, they're going to obviously ghost now through. Emir's got a 3-second penalty.
Oh, so that changes it for Emir. He is, in essence, really now not in this fight, but he can determine the outcome. So this is going to be interesting.
He'll now be wanting to ideally, I guess, get past Jeremy and then just sort of, you know, maybe try and back him up a little bit to give Merck that clean run as he's now out of that race win potential. Yeah, disaster for Emir. Big slide through the chicane.
I was looking at Bjorn at the time as he was getting overtaken by Otis. Had a bit of a slide through Villeneuve. But down towards Ravazza with the top guys at the moment. First, second, third on your screen. We're looking at Jeremy Clarkson, who's in second. He's going to have the DRS. Now, you have to feel this is the wrong lap for Jeremy Clarkson to be overtaking Merckx. Because, I say that though, lap 31. So the end of lap 31 is when he wants to almost like be second here. That seems to be the plan.
So I don't think he'll be too upset if Merck gets past him on the next lap. I think the only thing that could ruin that plan is if both Merck and Emir get past him, and then he could have a bit of trouble then trying to make his way from third. So yeah, ideally he'll want to be second behind either Merck or Emir going on to that last lap.
Otis in the pit lane. Not quite sure why that is. Maybe a bit of damage or something of that nature. Bit of a weird one to be
back behind MDJ now as well. So let's see what happened.
A slight mistake then. As we are continuing to watch the top three. The question is are the Aston Martins going to try and be very smart here and almost not bother overtaking Jeremy down this main straight on this lap?
Tactically, that would be a good idea, I think. Yeah, that they may be thinking that. Could be a bit of gamesmanship coming up right here. But, yeah, let's see what Merc decides to do here now with the DRS.
DRS open, and we are going to go sailing past. The question is, can Emir? No, he can't. So this is perfect for Jeremy Clarkson. He's going to have DRS, and he's only got one Aston Martin in front of him.
Yeah, it's playing out nicely. He's just got to hold on to the back of Merc now till the end of this lap. Ghost and Conan having a bit of a battle, but that's just all done on DRS there for Ghost, so easy move made. And
if your Ghost tyres are 4 laps newer than Conan's on that medium, and on the medium that does make a very big difference in comparison to 4 lap older hard tyres in a same tyre fight. Yellow flag, that is Conan?
Conan, yes, Conan has gone off and has now dropped down to 9th place, still in the points at the moment. He should get going in 9th now quite happily and should stay there, I think. Back to the front.
Back to the front we go, and Jeremy Clarkson. We said he's now in the prime position. Will he prove us right by making this work? He's 4.5 tenths. DRS open. It's gonna be ERS on for both him and Merc. Merc will go to the inside, surely. Yes, he does. To the outside for the Ferrari. Can he get him around the outside of Tamburello? I think that might be a tiny bit of contact, bit more through the middle. But Merc survives. Merc stays in the lead.
Excellent defensive driving from Merc to hold on to that. You'd have to feel that's his chance gone now, I think, for Jeremy. Unless he can get a really good run out of Aqua Minerale, or even, maybe out on the last lap if he can get a good run out of the last Ravazza. But I think you'd have to say now this is looking quite good for Merc.
Yeah, we generally say around Imola, if you don't get passed by Tamburello, you're not getting past until you come back to Tamburello around here. It's not an easy... as we've seen tonight, it's not impossible to overtake around the circuit, but as a generalisation, Tamburello is your number one. And I get the feeling that Merc maybe saved up a little bit more ERS because he's pulled the gap to Jeremy. And now they're both on the flashing, blinking light to say, I'm running out. But Merc, through Ravazza, he survived the onslaught at the end. And it will be Merc in the Aston Martin who wins here the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, followed by Jeremy Clarkson and Emir Jurakovic. Bay will take home honours of the Williams battle, although based on penalties, it's actually MDJ who takes that honour. 4th and 5th for the Williams. Ghost will come home for 6th place on track. Up to the line he comes. A solid race, really. A little bit of a recovery. So that Ghost actually gets 5th with the... I'm not quite sure what's going on with... I think because Bay's left the session before all the results have been consolidated.
Yeah, he only had 6 seconds worth of penalties, so that's obviously not quite right there. I think Bay did actually finish 5th. But yeah.
Martin will come across the line for 11th, and I'm going to say 11th because I'm certain that'll be what it is. Otis Beckmars on debut. He'll come home for 12th place. And the end of a very dramatic Emilia-Romagna / Imola Grand Prix.
Yeah, that was full of good close racing, a few bits of contact, a few cars in the wall. It had a little bit of everything that tonight, and some excellent racing from the guys at the front there as well. Some excellent racing in the mid-pack as well, but unfortunately a few incidents maybe marred that a little bit. But excellent, really, really good stuff, but unsurprising to see the Astons once again on the podium.
Yeah, another double podium for the Aston Martins. Been fantastic for them. But it's good to see Jeremy back. He's mixing it, and it makes me think that when Cameron Searle comes back after this first of the season breaks, it's very easily could be 4, 5, 6 people for the lead of these races.
Yeah,
but Bruce, would you like to take us through the provisional race results?
Absolutely. So Merck there taking an excellent win there in the Aston, with Jeremy Clarkson falling up in second and Emir Djurkovic rounding out the podium. MDJ there snatching fourth from I believe what will be his teammate for Bay in fifth, Ghost sixth with Blaster seventh, Reska eighth, Bjorndeboard ninth, Martin comes home in 10th with Otis 11th, and Conan in 12th with Stenos, Schizofree, Owen. Schizofree, Owen and Ashtube, sorry. I think they all maybe disconnected towards the end. Stenos was disconnected at one point. Ashtube, Felix and Delol with DNFs.
Yeah, I think Conan's actually going to be ahead of Martin, because I think he done a similar thing to Fabe. If you look at his time, he's plus 42 on his timing there. But nonetheless, a fantastic race. I mean, the battle all the way to the end, that's what we like to see. I'll just see if I can get a write-up from Merck and Jeremy, and hopefully Emir will join us in the party. We good to have Emir in. Normally we end up with Cameron in, I think, don't we? Normally, in terms of trying to get a bit of an interview, shall we say? But Bruce, I mean, what were the standout moments in that race for yourself? Because there was a lot happening.
I think it was great to see MDJ up the front there fighting. I think that's probably his strongest race he's had this season. One of the critical moments of that race was probably when Emir picked up his 3-second penalty as well. It sort of changed the dynamic of that fight at the front a little bit. But yeah, it was great to see some really, really good racing throughout the field, and it's good to see obviously some of the reserves that had come in showing good pace as well. So hopefully they'll get another chance soon and another chance to show what they can do. But as we hit this sort of 1 week break now after the first 5 races, the performance of the Aston Martins is pretty exceptional. I'm not going to bet my house on it, but I think I'm willing to probably gamble that a little bit that they're going to probably take the constructors at some point in the future. So yes, but still, like as I say, it's good to see some of the other guys putting on a show with the Aston Martins this week.
Unfortunately, we're not going to get Emir in the party because he unfortunately hasn't managed to fix his party settings in time so people can hear him. But we'll start off with Merck. Obviously, congratulations for first place. He says, congrats to the podium. It was a difficult race. His pace was better than expected, so that helped after a poor qualifying. He is happy with P1. Second place, Jeremy Clarkson. Saying there's not much to say. Good quality. Got kind of done over with the safety car, so had to do a very long stint on the mediums. Tried it around the outside on the final lap, but the tyres were gone, so he turned in, and the back end took a walk, in his own words. But overall, a good race. He's had 3 races, 3 P2s so far. And Emir saying he didn't have the pace to win today. He felt good in the beginning, but the hards didn't seem to work for him this week. But at the end, he just tried to help Merck as much as he could. So congratulations to everyone on the podium. And I mean, from what Jeremy said, obviously that's really an example of how safety cars affect a race.
Yeah, definitely. It does change things a lot, and that mix up of tyres there after those safety cars, definitely makes for some interesting racing.
But as we alluded to, we do have a break next week, so no Tier 1 action For next week, we do arrive back the week after, though. And when we do come back, we will be heading to... Let me get the calendar up. We'll be Spa-Francorchamps, Belgium, which is always a good race in IRL. It's always a fantastic venue to go racing at. Obviously, tomorrow we will have RP from Imola. That will be brought to you by Jack TM53 Synopsis at 8 p.m. As per normal. And we do have one stream scheduled for next week, which is the Tier 4 Round 5 from Imola. That the race portion of that evening got postponed due to some lobby issues. So the race is taking part next Monday at the usual time of 8 p.m. But other than that, no other tier action next week. It will be the week after where we all come back for Belgium. So make sure you schedule that in your diaries, and make sure if you like the stream tonight to first of all like the stream and also subscribe to the Invictus Racing League channel to make sure you don't miss any of the racing action that happens, because I mean we're expecting probably a lot more of the racing tonight. But from myself and Bruce, thank you all for watching tonight. This has been the Invictus Racing League in partnership with gridfinder.com and Venturi Studios for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Thank you for watching. Good night.